Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending some time with me again today. I'm very excited today to be introducing you to Ray Hogg, who is the owner of Creative Image. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, Ray, will you tell us a little bit more about your business and how you started it?
We started our business 30 years ago. We were a little bit at odds of what to do with our lives, and my wife started painting and found that none of the paints on the market actually did what she wanted. So I have a bit of a technical background, so I manufactured a paint for her to try to use, and it worked so well, we said, oh, wow, let's go into business with this and let's start selling it. So we started selling it, and we sold it to haberdashery shops and to hardware stores and places like that. And we were perpetually getting asked, well, that's great, but how do you use it? And so my wife said, well, why don't we have a free lesson once a month, and people can come to our house and they can see what we do, and I can give them a little talk. So that was all very well. We then put an advert in the Your Family magazine, and it said, if you were advertising something for free, they would give you a free advert. So we advertised this lesson for a Saturday afternoon, and we thought, well, that'll be fine. We'll get 4 or 5 people coming along, and we'll give a little talk. What actually happened is that came 2 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon, 150 people turned up.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't know what to do. So we had to go and beg, borrow, and steal seats from all over the place because it was at our house. And then the biggest question was, people said, well, can't we get a lesson on an ongoing basis? So my wife said, okay, well, if you bring a T-shirt along and come along on Tuesday morning, I'll give a 3-hour lesson and you can learn how to paint a T-shirt. And 20 people pitched up. And that started doing it once a week. Then it went twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 6 times a week. Then next thing we knew, we had 120 women coming once a week for a lesson. And then my wife said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them next week. And she started developing a program and creating a teaching program where one lesson led into the next lesson and so on, progressively getting harder so that people would learn how to operate. So we operated for about 3 years just with our own studio. And then one of the things that we found was that people were coming from all over the place to the lessons. So we would have people traveling from Pretoria just to come to the lessons. And we thought, wow, maybe we could franchise this. So then we spent the next year creating a franchise document and a franchise program and a lesson format program. And within a year, we then managed to get the franchise operation going. We were very fortunate in that there was a show on TV at that time called Le Bonnet, which was a craft show, and they were associated with the Small Business Association or the Small Business Development Corporation. And they said, well, can we come and do a short video on you for a 15-second airing? So we said, sure, no problem. So they came and did a little video, and they took forever to do the video. We thought, crikey, for 15 seconds, how much time do they need? And they spent about an hour and a half doing this video. Then what happened is the following week, they aired it, but they aired it for 15 minutes, not 15 seconds.
Okay.
But then they aired it 8 times over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we had 24 franchise inquiries. And of those 24, we managed to take on 12. Okay. And we got them going. And the funny part about it is that some of those franchise operators that we got then, like 24 years ago, are still with us today.
Mm.
And even more funny is some of the students they got on day one
Mm.
are still attending classes 24 years later, once a week, every week.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
every month, Lesley has to come up with new designs, new patterns, new creations, new things to keep feeding this monster. And over the years, we've had 100 franchise operations.
Wow.
And we have now two franchise operations in Mauritius.
Mm.
We've had in Australia and Windhoek and Harare
Mm.
and all over the country.
Mm.
And we've created a life for these franchise operators.
That's
And
amazing.
it's just, we started out manufacturing paint in 12 different colors
Mm.
and having a few pottery items to paint and a few material items to paint. Now we have our own sewing division where we sew all sorts of things like cushion covers and tablecloths and table runners and aprons and bags and God knows what. And we produce paints in 120 different colors. We have our own wood cutting division where we cut out all sorts of wood cutouts and things. We have our own pottery section. So we actually produce over 500 different products now to sell in our studios.
Wow.
And maybe I'll give you a quick walkthrough of our training studio, and you can see what we look like. I don't know whether you can see this now. The studio.
Yes, that's beautiful. What a lovely space.
And this is where we train our teachers.
Okay. Okay. Oh, it's making my fingers itch just looking at it.
And we take everybody from the simple art to really spectacular art.
Mm.
And there's a picture in my lounge of a nice picture on the wall.
That's
so that'll give you an idea of what we actually do. And my franchise operators all get a good living out of this, because one of the biggest problems with artists, and you probably all know, is that they all know how to do the stuff, but they don't know how to make money. And we teach our operators how to make money and how to promote their business and how to operate their business. And we literally hold their hands and until they're making money. I mean, I have a studio in Kimberley, which really shouldn't work because Kimberley is a pretty dying town and there's not that many people there anymore and businesses have closed. And she's been with me for 20 years. She averages about 35,000 Rand a month in her pocket. And she has a constant 80 students in her studio every month.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
That's the kind of thing that we want to do, is we want to make sure that the operators make money. And as you know, most of the craft shops and the craft orientated places have closed down in the last 3 or 4 years. I was speaking to a GenChem rep the other day, and he said in the last year, he's lost 40 of his clients in the crafting industry.
Wow.
So it's pretty desperate out there to actually get going. And we've tried to help our operators to get themselves established, to train them. They come on board with our national marketing and our national operating procedures. They all work to a program. So if we have a student who goes to one studio and she's halfway through a project and she goes to another studio, she just picks up where she left off because they all work to the manual.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful continuity.
So regardless of whether the person goes to a studio in Cape Town, Durban, or Mauritius, they can carry on with the program as it actually is.
Now, I've heard you say that you help to train your teachers to make money. And I've also heard you say that the workshops are free. Are the workshops still for free?
No, no. What happens is that the teachers charge 400 Rand a month.
Mm-hmm.
That is for 4 3-hour classes.
Okay.
So we do promotional free exhibitions
Okay.
now and again to promote the business.
Mm.
But the teachers will normally operate 400 Rand a month for 4 3-hour classes. And that's 100 Rand for a 3-hour class. You can't even go out and have a sandwich and a cup of coffee for that kind of money.
Yes, that's very, very reasonable pricing for workshops. And then do
Because
they get the kits with the workshop, or is that something they pay for separately?
well, they pay extra for all of the things that they paint on. So
Yeah.
if they're painting onto a cushion cover or a plate or a wooden pallet or whatever the case is, they pay extra for those things. And that's
Okay.
where the teacher makes their money on the selling of the product.
Yes. Yes.
So they make
Yes.
money from their lesson formats and their lessons fees plus whatever the person buys.
Okay.
And
Okay.
recently we've actually moved into doing drawing with polychromos pencils, which has become very popular as well.
Mm.
And that's quite attracting a different group of people who don't necessarily want to paint, but they want to play with pencils and get colored drawings that way.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
The essence of what and one of the biggest stumbling blocks is, and I'm going to be quite rude about the artists out there in inverted commas, they always feel that it's below them to have a teaching studio and to teach people who don't know anything, who don't want to be fantastic artists. They don't want to exhibit. They don't want to sell their stuff. They just want to do stuff because they enjoy doing it.
Mm.
And a lot of the, let's call them, like a lot of them say, is they are real artists and they don't want to get involved. But 99% of them are starving.
Mm.
So they're not making money, but they don't want to do the thing that makes money.
Mm.
And that's where we come in, because we bridge that gap between, call it craft art and fine art.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And you know, if people, I mean, there are some fantastic artists out there who will never, ever, ever get known and will never make money, but they don't want to do the thing that will make money.
That makes a lot of sense.
And, you know, and we try to encourage them to actually do something that's going to make money for them.
Now, I'm fascinated about your franchise model because franchising is notoriously difficult to do. What do you feel is your secret sauce to success that your particular franchise has worked so well?
Okay, first of all, we don't take any royalties from them on an ongoing basis, but they have to buy product from us. So we make our profit from the product.
Okay.
So that they don't have to have stuff that's very expensive. We try to look after everything about them. For instance, when they come and join me, I check up on their financial status. I make sure that they've got their insurance policies set up, that they've got their savings set up, that their future is looked after. I ensure that they've got their banking in order and that their receiver of revenue is sorted out. And I don't leave them to wander around in the dark.
Okay.
I make sure that they are looked after. Next, we're in regular communication with our operators, and we try to make sure that they are up to date on everything that we're doing. And even if they're in Mauritius, say, for instance, like my operator over there, we talk to her on a regular basis and we send her updates and we send her video clips and we keep her tuned in to what's going on. Plus, we have every one of our teachers that have even been with us for the 20-odd years come to us every second Friday for ongoing training.
Okay.
And oh, I've lost you.
You back?
Yeah, I'm back. um, uh, what we do as well is that because we are constantly coming up with new ideas and new products and new training techniques, it keeps them interested and it keeps them enthusiastic about what they're doing.
Mm, mm,
And that's
mm,
what you've got to do.
mm.
I mean, we also have regular outings with our teachers. For instance, we'll have I have a fairly big house, so at Christmas time, we literally turn it into a dormitory, and I have 30 teachers here for training for a whole week.
Oh,
And they all
wow.
sleep at my house as well.
Okay.
And then, like, the one year we did, we had a bus arrive and we loaded them into a bus,
Yes.
and they had no idea where they were going. We took them out into the middle of the veld by Wambos. We
Yes.
took them out of the bus, and we got them all onto quad bikes
Yes.
and took them out through a swamp.
Oh,
And
wow.
when we'd finished driving through the swamp, and these girls had never been on quad bikes before,
Yes.
we then put them on horseback, and we
Okay.
then rode to another area where we took them shooting.
Okay.
Then we took the next morning. We stayed at a reserve there, and then the next morning we loaded them onto a tractor and trailer with hay bales and took them up into the mountains for a champagne breakfast.
Oh, lovely.
And then we had a party that night. Those are the sort of things that we do. We encourage and motivate and make them feel part of the family. And that way they feel like they're doing something worthwhile.
What a beautiful.
It's not just a job.
Yes. What a beautiful story. It's not often that you hear of a franchise that has not only been successful, but it's been enduring for so many years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you normally see them come and go. So the
Yes,
fact
yes.
that you persevere has been quite amazing.
I think that it's also the fact that I'm fortunate enough to have a wife who's incredibly creative and comes up with fantastic ideas, and does her paintings and her stuff for the masses, not for specific taste. She tries to think, where will somebody put this if they paint it? Will it go into a bathroom or a lounge or a whatever? And what's the best colors to use? And she thinks these out quite extensively. And often she will paint something and then scrub it all out and start it all over again because it doesn't appeal to a wide enough audience. And that's what the secret is, to try to appeal to a wide audience.
Well, it certainly sounds like she's getting it right. Very definitely.
Yeah.
So has COVID-19 affected your studios at all?
Yes, it has. We literally had to close our studios down as lockdown carried on. What we did, and this may be interesting to a lot of the people out there, we have such a loyal following of our client base that everybody paid for their monthly fees all the way through COVID, although they weren't getting lessons.
Wow.
But then what happened at the end, when we've started now having lessons again, the teachers are allowing all the students to make up those lessons.
Okay.
And they are now running at double time. Instead of the lady coming once a week, she's coming twice a week.
Okay.
And making up those lessons.
Okay.
So the client base were incredibly loyal to us and appreciated what we did. Also, the teachers stayed in communication with their people, and they also did home projects for them. They delivered stuff to their houses so they could actually continue working at home. They were on tap all the time for advice and for help during the lockdown, so they weren't neglected.
Mm. It certainly sounds like you really offer superior service.
Well, I think that has been the essence of the success of the business.
Mm.
Is it's more than just a business; it's a family that you got to look after.
Mm. 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 And do you have any plans to sell the business on, or are you in it for the long haul?
I am the long haul. I'm I'm 71 now,
Wow.
and yeah, we will look for to sell the business. We've got to retire sometime.
Yes.
Um, we will be looking for um, an energetic person who would be able to continue what we do,
Mm.
and we would sell the business on.
Mm.
And that would become the next goal, because um, I want to go and spend my time on the beach.
Yes.
And at 71, I've had enough.
Yes. Yes. But if you're 71 now, that means you actually started this business quite late in life, in your late 40s.
Yeah, I did, because I have a very checkered past. I don't know whether you want to hear my checkered past. Um, I I I was born in the UK,
Mm.
and my parents were 10-pound Poms. Now you can Google that. And we shipped out to Australia, where I went to school in Australia. And I had a bit of a hectic youth there. And when I reached 18, I got a letter saying, "Welcome to Vietnam." And me and my brother got called up to go to Vietnam. And unfortunately, he got shot pretty badly there. So he still lives in Australia and has to have regular medical attention.
Mm.
I decided that I didn't enjoy killing people,
Mm.
and I got on a boat, was going out of town, and I arrived in South Africa
Mm.
with £5 in my pocket and a backpack.
Mm.
And that's how my life started here.
Okay.
Then I only job I could get was a salesman in a bicycle shop,
Okay.
which turned me into a professional cyclist for the next 15 years.
Yes.
That took me all over the world. And um, then when I retired from cycling, I took up playing squash, and I became a professional squash player for 10 years.
Mm.
So my life had a few twists and turns before I got involved in creative image.
Wow.
But also during that time, I went back to college, and I did 3 degrees. I did a marketing, a business management, and a public relations degrees,
Okay.
which held me in good stead when we created creative image.
Yes. Yes. That's such an
So
inspiring story of reinvention.
yeah, I think it was not reinvention out of choice. It was reinvention for survival.
Okay. Okay.
But um, anybody can. And then I recently wrote a book
Okay.
on all of the motivational seminars I've given to my franchise operators over the years. And
Okay.
I combined all of the motivational seminars into a book, and it's called To Slay the Dragon.
Okay. Okay. That's a great title. That's a great title. So, Ray, that's a very, very inspiring story. Thank you for sharing it with us today. I'm certain you're going to inspire other entrepreneurs and people who are possibly thinking that they'd like to do something different and new, to find the courage to start something completely different. If we are looking to get in touch with you online, where can we find you?
Okay, go onto the website. You can go onto it as www.creativeimage.co.za, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Creative Image International on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
or they can write to me at rghogg, HOGG, at mweb.coza.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It was really interesting.
Okay, thanks.